In July 2023, President Mohamed Bazoum of Niger was overthrown by his own guards, who held him incommunicado at the presidential palace in Niamey, the capital city.
Mercredi 26 juillet 2023, les forces de défense et de sécurité regroupées au sein du Conseil national pour la sauvegarde.
Bazoum had been democratically elected and had been in office for only 3 years. It is noteworthy that an attempted coup had occurred in 2021, just 2 days before his inauguration. The Niger Army spokesperson, Amadou Adramane, cited deteriorating security, poor economic and social governance as the reasons behind the move to dissolve the government.
Et cela sans que les autorités déchues ne nous laissent entrevoir une véritable solution de sortie de crise.
The takeover prompted the closure of Niger's borders, a nationwide curfew, and the suspension of all institutions until stability was restored. However, the soldiers assured that President Mohamed Bazoum was safe during the coup. Despite condemnation from the African Union Commission, ECOWAS, the United States, and the United Nations, ECOWAS imposed sanctions to Niger, including closing land and air borders and establishing a no-fly zone on commercial flights to and from the country. The organization also suspended all commercial and financial transactions between ECOWAS member states and Niger. Nigeria, a member of ECOWAS, cut off power supply to Niger, and Ivory Coast, Senegal, and Benin expressed their willingness to send troops to reverse the coup. ECOWAS issued an ultimatum to reinstate President Bazoum or face forceful intervention.
Saw the situation building up. Why wouldn't ECOWAS take a proactive role to try and talk to the factions there, so that the situation doesn't occur? And we are also saying for the leadership as well, once someone you're in leadership as well, give conditions that are conducive, that are acceptable, so that even the military do not think of such situations. Of course, I don't support coups, completely against coups, but we are saying also responsible leadership, whereby there are no situations created where now the military thinks that they are the solution and decide to create this cause.
If you hear your people complaining about this and that, if you listen to them, you're able to relate, you're able to solve these issues. But if you turn a deaf ear to your people, then there will be a coup. There will be a coup, and it will not be one, it will be so many of them. Secondly, countries must exercise transparent democracy, electoral justice, and electoral processes transparency.
They should have an intelligence wing in the sense that they can try to sort of proactively identify, bottlenecks, or identify, situations that are going to be unmanageable, creating coups, so that they can address it proactively by engaging all the factions involved.
We've seen people allegedly who are democratically elected leaders being ousted from power. Why? Where do you think the people that are ousting these people are coming from? These are people within. It means there was a problem with the electoral process. The same thing that happened in Kenya. Almost 50%, half of the voters are not happy with the electoral process. There have been a lot of electoral malpractices reported across all sectors, from the top of the national government to the local governments. What have countries done about these electoral processes?
There is an issue. We had World War I, we had World War II. Whatever is going around the world now is coming to World War III. During the World War I, World War II, there were big powers, superpowers, and they have their allies. And their allies are countries that they colonized during the scramble and partition for Africa. So now when you look at whatever is going in the world, there are some countries that are supporting Russia. There are countries that are supporting US. There are countries that are supporting France, because French colonized those countries. So they look at someone who has their interest. So those superpowers, they give support so that the African, we kill ourselves. Because if the ECOWAS say they are going to force the president to remain on the seat of Niger, the Africans, the soldiers, they are going to use the people from Niger. They are the ones who are going to fight, kill themselves, reduce the population, and then the president will come in power again. He may come in power. If he doesn't have the support of the population of Niger, he will have a hard time. So it is good also to have a round table, as I said it, so that they can come up with a transition period whereby they can come up with the roadmap for national election in Niger.
Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea also expressed their support for Niger against any invasion. The use of force by ECOWAS could lead to further turmoil, raising concerns about African nations fighting one another with the backing of their respective Western allies. Niger's significance in this conflict is evident in its position as the 7th largest producer of uranium globally, a crucial resource for nuclear energy. What is happening in West Africa is not any different from what is happening elsewhere. For example, in Sudan, there is also a conflict for power between Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary rapid support forces. Some leaders weigh in on the coups in West Africa.
African continent is blessed with minerals, is blessed with good things. And when we fight, the Western world come and steal our goods. They go and produce guns, produce telephones, produce other things out of those goods, and they sell them back to Africa, and they keep us fighting, killing each other. So there is no free state.
On my side, I don't accept this issue of coup, because coup, is stressing people. We have people, more than 2 million people, 3 million people, 30 million people, 40 million people, citizens. Now if you bring in again the system that they didn't choose, that system, of course it's denying them the opportunity of having leaders they want.
The materials is being taken from Congo, and the Russians are there in Central Africa, the Sheleka are there, the Ambororo. So there is a lot of confusion on the African continent, which our leaders need to open their eyes and sit together and come up with a strategic plan to encounter this kind of foreign forces.
Notably, Russia has engaged with the new leaders of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali in enhancing economic ties, which might affect the interests of France and the US. Niger suspended most of France's operations, making ECOWAS's intervention more complex. The question arises as to why ECOWAS has been unable to neutralize coups before they gain momentum. The situation highlights deeper issues within African leadership and the need to address internal challenges to foster stable governance. The coup in Niger has raised concerns in West Africa, with the regional organizations and countries reacting differently to the situation. The resolution of the conflict will require a careful approach to prevent further instability and foster a trajectory of progress for the continent. Who loses when African nations engage in conflict, and who gains when such conflicts arise? It is evident that Africa's geopolitics are influenced to satisfy a proportion of allies who may not consider the repercussions of bad governance.